Okay. Hi everyone. You all know me, but I'm going to say it anyways. My name is Sneha Speech. I'm a second-year student, and my major is biochemistry and molecular biology, with a minor in bioethics and medical humanities. I'm from Reading, PA, but my SciEd experience starts with all of these different things, which have been so influential and so critical to me, understanding the functioning of Secretariat, understanding the functioning of this club, and understanding what this club should mean to us. Some of my other qualifications include being an EMT, which has taught me how to be collaborative in every situation, and being a part of the Artificial Heart Fluid Dynamics Lab, which has taught me how to accept criticism and grow from it. So SciEd has contributed greatly to my life outside of all of these things as well. It has taught me to overcome a lot of my fears. It has taught me to follow my passions, and it's given me some of my best friends. And with all of this in mind, I'd like to begin by talking about my platform. So my platform includes three important things: inclusivity, professionalism, and engagement. So my vision for SciEd begins with inclusivity. SciEd gave me a sense of purpose during a time, freshman year, when I didn't really feel like I belonged at Penn State. So with that in mind, for new members, I would like to encourage the continued use of things like study socials, the membership spotlight, and the spring retreats, the spring and fall retreats. But I would also like to include informal advising with older members to talk about things like majors and study abroad and things like that, because that's really important to making sure that our new members have an emotional and professional foundation to stay in this club. For older members, I would like to encourage the continued development of our interpersonal relationships through collaborative fundraising efforts, through talking about study abroad experiences and things of that nature. But of course, being inclusive begins with the individual, so we have to be open to having, and building new relationships and building a diverse community within SciEd. And hopefully as president, I would be able to be that guiding hand in making sure that everybody feels included and that we dispel the illusion of exclusivity in this club. Ooh, whoops. So the second thing that I wanted to talk about was professionalism, our favorite buzzword. So professionalism is really, really critical. It will help us maintain legitimacy in the Penn State community as well as on the One Circuit. And that's something that's really important as we're building our conferences, Funk and Punk. So with this in mind, I would like to introduce, so pre-existing policies like the 24-hour policy and things like that have done really well in this club with making sure that we're professional. But I would also like to introduce further measures that prohibit people from submitting unprofessional things to applications that don't necessarily match. And I think this would be really helpful to making sure that we draw that line. And with this in mind, I would also like to introduce an anonymous forum with the help of the integrity counselor to make sure that any questions or concerns about the club culture go in the appropriate professional place. Obviously, with all of this in mind, we don't want to, confuse professionalism with not having fun. This club should always be about having fun and making friends. But at the same time, we need to know where to draw that line. I want to be the person that can help SciEd become more professional in that sense. And finally, I want to talk about engagement. So as president, I would like to encourage more people to attend away conferences and engage in a lot of our SciEd events, such as mini-months, micro-months, things of that sort, our meetings like this one. I think that's really important as well, because if SciEd is to be more than MUN, that means that we have to engage ourselves in this club, and we have to take everything possibly that we can out of this club through friends, through professional experiences, and more. And you guys can read further on my platform for details about that. So this is me kind of saying that inclusivity is the most important part of my platform. There have been a lot of concerns just within this past year about having a negative club culture, and I really, really want to dispel that. We are family. You guys have given me a lot of my happiest moments at Penn State, and as president, I want to make sure that those emotions continue to flourish and that everybody feels accepted by this club. And as president, I want to be that person to do that. So with that in mind, thank you so much for giving me your time. Thank you, and I will answer questions.
And the question asking will not take up the time, only the question answering.
Kayla.
Okay, are you ready to start?
Yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned about an anonymous form. Given the issue that we had this past week, how do you reconcile having an anonymous form with collecting, with keeping somebody accountable for doing something mean-spirited?
So I think the purpose of the anonymous form that I mentioned was to voice concerns. Of course, you know, if it's cruel or if it's, you know, not respectful of this club, obviously it's still anonymous, so we can't really account for that. But I think the issue with that is that we don't necessarily have a good culture for that one singular person. And hopefully if we create a more inclusive environment, that won't necessarily happen. And of course, that forum is for the purpose of building a better club culture. So in that sense, anonymity might be a benefit. Jacob?
How would you handle moderation on the anonymous forum? Because like my concern is anonymity breeds, to some extent at least, hatred. And I don't think there's anybody here who would be doing anything like that. But it might give an opportunity for people to like voice things that would be very negative.
So again, that calls on professionalism. I think we have to, as a club and as students who are going to be going into professional fields, we need to understand the difference between offering constructive criticism for this club and being mean-spirited. And hopefully, you know, all of us understand how to do that by now. If we don't, unfortunately, that's something that we can work on through professional development events and conflict management sessions that we can talk about within meetings and things like that. But hopefully, I would be able to foster a spirit of professional development.
156 left.
So you mentioned that one part of increasing engagement would be encouraging more members to attend away conferences. Given that we also have a vice president for away conferences and a vice president for membership and a lot of different positions working together, what do you see your personal role as being in your capacity as president in that process?
So of course, I would be working with the e-board to make sure that more people are attending away conferences. I guess my focus would be to encourage new members and to encourage members that don't necessarily always go on these away conferences to go. They're a really valuable experience to build interpersonal relationships with other colleges, as well as build relationships within this club. And so hopefully, newer or less likely to attend these conferences people will be those. Victoria?
Okay, considering your major, which will require a large amount of credits and a thesis, as well as your work as an EMT and research, how do you feel as though you can juggle everything and still be incredibly involved in this club?
Okay, yeah, I was expecting that one. So I've shown a lot of commitment to this club. I have repeatedly been part of secretariats and part of the executive board and shown that I love this club. So in that respect, I would never do you guys the disrespect of running for this position and not fulfilling that duty. Trevor?
Okay, so first off, I just wanted to say, working with you and Nico over the last year on exec board, you guys were just so easy and wonderful to work with, and I respect that so much. So I really like some of the ideas you have. I wanted to ask a question from the finance perspective. Looking at away conferences this last year, away conferences are becoming more expensive, and demand has been not quite reaching where we want it to be. And I know something that I have talked about with people from perspective of money and stuff is that we would like to actually have less away conferences.
Okay.
I was wondering, how would you be able to encourage, like, what would be your plan for encouraging the demand to go off the away conferences so that we can actually fill our slots? And then number two, my final thing is, what is the legacy you'd like to leave for this club?
Okay.
Sorry, that's a lot. Sorry.
So for the first part, I think I would like to prevent more repeat people going on away conferences. I think that's the first thing. We have a lot of people going on 2 per year, which is great, but it leaves less room for newer members who might be more afraid, or older members who might believe that they might not have enough time to do it. Of course, I would want to work with VPOA and VP Finance to make sure that we're not over spending on these away conferences. Hopefully that answered your question. And as for your second part, the legacy I would like to leave for this club, that we're friends first, that we look at each other and we know that we have a place to be every Sunday, and at every away conference and at every time that you can look at everybody in this room and know who they are and know that they have your back.
5
It's the same thing.
seconds.
If you were any part of a bicycle, what part would you be and why?
So I always pick the gears, because without the gears, your bike will not move. And I would want to be that person. I want to make sure that we're working together and that we're going somewhere at the end of the day. Thank you.